the exact model that communicates to the various parts of the brain at the right time. And if you notice on the left-hand side, you're going to see this arrow, and in the arrow are four different areas of communication. The first one is a theme, which is basically it's your brand promise, and the problem you solve is really up there in the theme. And the big picture is the extension of that problem. The big picture says, I have this problem, therefore I'm going to listen to you. If you don't hook me in some way that's personal, if you remember the slide we just looked at, personal was a big part of that. Well, the personal is I have the problem, so personally, this problem is really bugging me and I want to get rid of it. So if you're going to talk about the problem I have, I'm going to listen to you. Then the third one is the value proposition. So now you got me hooked because I have the problem, and you're going to give me a value proposition that basically says, here's how, and if again, the why was the first part. Now we're down to the how. The value proposition is the how we're going to get rid of this problem and replace it with this wonderful solution that's going to make my life better. And then the last level of communication, and you do them in this order always, is solidification and proofs. Okay, you got my attention. You identified that you understand my problem, and you have a value proposition to not only solve the problem, but replace it with something better, cooler, more helpful, more profitable, whatever it is I'm looking for, and you can prove to me that you can do it. That's basically how we communicate. If you look over in the center column of yellow where it says required emotional response, each of those communication approaches needs a particular emotional response in order to, if you look at the last column, achieve a set of results. The theme basically says people are busy. They got infinite number of things in their brain. If we don't get their attention, which is the purpose of the theme, if I can't get their attention, everything else I say is wasted. Once I get their attention, in an Apple's case, if you've ever watched, they have a history of extraordinary Super Bowl ads that just absolutely are they're way off base. I mean, in the sense they don't look like the Budweiser horses. They do some really creative, interesting things, and they got your attention. And once they get your attention, then they're going to try and put you in the picture so that you can see yourself as that person who's going to make a dent in the universe, who's going to challenge the status quo, who's going to help take the application of technology to the next level. They're going to put you in that picture. That's the excitement part. Once I'm in the big picture, I'm going to see if this is really for me. You're saying the right things. I want to play. Let's go. And then the value proposition comes along and says, hey, we got this new iPad, or we have this new way to buy music, or we have this new way to view television. And they're demonstrating that what they've said in that big picture that got you excited, they can actually give you, and then they're going to prove to you. Go to the Apple Store and you can actually see it, and we're going to have one of those geniuses help you make it fit your world, and you're going to come out of there and it's going to be working for you when you come out. So we're going to walk through the whole thing with you. Now what I want you to do is I want you to think about, for right this minute, the way, for example, your website sets up. And if I look at 100 websites, at least 95 of them are value proposition. They're going to tell you, we'll come do your plumbing, or we'll write your software, or, we're the best integrators, or they're solidification and proofs, which is maybe even more common. They're going to say we've been in business for 45 years, we have 6 locations, we have 300 people, and you're really giving me solidification proofs pieces. And if you go back to the previous slide, that's all playing to the new brain. It's all boring, and it is not related to anything emotional, anything personal. And, in a sense, what you're broadcasting to the world is, we're a what company? We're just like everybody else. Make sure you don't pay us too much money, and be clear, we're not differentiated or any better than anybody else who's in the same business we're in. which is a what business. Those people who, those Apples, those BMWs, those Disneys, who message theme, the happiest place on earth or the ultimate driving machine, they get your attention, they put you in the picture, then they give you value proposition solidifications and proofs. So think about your website and just, decide where your website is. I hope you start with a theme, and I hope you have a big picture that gets that ideal buyer into the picture. Because if you don't get the ideal buyer into the picture, you're just another what company. So the homework, I want you to start to use this message model to review your messages so that you and your team are sharing these messages with the world. So I want you to look at the messages you're sharing, and I want you to compare them to the message model and look at your website. Look at your presentations. I don't care if they're PowerPoint or otherwise. Look at your proposals. One of the things people say to me frequently is, well, we have to do RFPs, and all they do is look at the price. Well, the only reason they just look at the price is you don't have any theme or any big picture on the cover letter or the overview. You go immediately into value propositions, and more likely you actually go into solidifications and proofs, which are the same things everybody else say. And we used to actually teach people to do proposals by getting the theme and the big picture up front. And what we learned was sales went up 30% by just messaging different. And you didn't even have to be the low price provider. You just had to demonstrate that there was value, excitement, emotion in what you did, and that you were solving a specific problem, and that your theme was something that drove these people, not bored them. So proposals are a big deal. Advertisements. If advertisements don't follow this model, they're almost always just throwing money away. And then look at your messaging models, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, all those kinds of things. So I want you to look at all of them, but then what I want you to do for the homework is I want you to take just one, and I want you to think about how you would do that one differently. Whether it's your website or it's a PowerPoint presentation or it's a proposal, I don't care which one it is. Take one of them and then follow this. How would I create a theme that got people's attention, awed them, wowed them, shocked them, something that was consistent with my brand promise, and then my big picture is really the statement of the problem, so that ideal buyer who has that problem goes, whoa, they understand me. And then value proposition and solidification, I'm pretty sure you got those things cold. So I want you to at least take one, so that when we get together the next time, you've actually done one. And if you get excited and want to do 2 or 3 or 4, go right ahead. But for right now, until I see you in a few days, I want you to do one. So please keep the feedback coming. Keep letting us know what's working, what you're learning, and do the homework. And I'm going to be talking to you real soon.